Hello, I am Lantana Yusuf Odenride and welcome to Midday Vibe. The federal government has declared Tuesday, 15th July 2025 as a public holiday in honor of the late former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, who died on Sunday at about 4:30 p.m. in a hospital in London. After a protracted illness, he died at the age of 82. The Minister for Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, declared this on behalf of the federal government. As I speak, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is currently at Daura to receive the remains of the late former president, Muhammadu Buhari. Today on Midday Vibe, we will be driving a discussion around the contributions of the late president in democratic governance and leadership in Nigeria. With me in the studio is Mr. Ishaka Aliyu. He was the NTA correspondent who covered Jordan Barracks when former President Buhari took over from Shagari and became military head of state. So you're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
On Sunday, the late former president passed at about 4:30. And in less than an hour, I should say, it was on the front page of every Nigerian newspaper. It was breaking news indeed. What were your thoughts when you heard about the demise of the late former president?
Well, first of all, one has to be shocked because we never thought that he was nearing that event. As a matter of fact, I heard he was in hospital in the UK, and to get this feedback was so shocking. And the reaction was to start searching, confirming, because of social media influences that sometimes you get stories that are not confirmed or authenticated. You have to double check. So the first thing I did was to go through different media platforms to ascertain if this story coming out is true. And then, of course, I belong to a platform that shared information from the presidency. So I saw a press release that was from Bayo Anunuga, and that confirmed that, the former president Buhari was late.
So, former President Muhammadu Buhari was military head of state. December 31st, 1983 to 27th August 1985. You were NTA correspondent at that time at Jordan Barracks.
Yes.
What was it like?
Well, things were a bit were confusing for Nigerians, especially with the overthrow of Shagari's regime. For us in Sokoto, it was even more confusing because we were a bit concerned about what had happened to Shehu Shagari. There were a lot of stories about how some people had crossed the border to Benin to fly out of the country. Well, specifically one of his closest minister, Alhaji Umaru Diko. Then we also heard that Shagari, then quite frankly was in Abuja, had been arrested. But when we now heard that one of those fine officers who were involved was dead, it was confusing. We just couldn't ascertain if there was a shootout, if it was peaceful, or if it wasn't. Because invariably it was becoming clearer in the midday that it was just an arrest that was done, for most of those who were with the president at Abuja for the New Year activities at the Old Parade Ground. I had just left NTA Sokoto then to NTA Lagos. I had just been transferred, which I sought because I wanted to be working at that level, at the network level. So it changed so much of the perspective that we had. And by the time I was in Lagos, I started as education correspondent,
Okay.
and I think my activities as a reporter helped in asking that I cover General Buhari's first visit home
Okay.
as military head of state.
I see.
I wasn't a state house correspondent when I was asked to cover his visit to Daura, which was his first trip outside Lagos.
Wow.
And I think what I did was to have been able to get this story done, and I took a vehicle to Kano, edited my stories at Kano TV, NTA Kano, and got one of the pilots who was returning with some of the SSS officials to take our tape to Lagos. That story was on NTA that day, which was a feat, because I mean mostly people would expect that that story should come the following bulletin. It was on the bulletin same day. I was given a letter of commendation and asked to remain a state house correspondent. That was how I became NTA state house correspondent in so short a time, within 3 months after leaving NTA Sokoto to NTA Lagos. Yeah, that was what happened.
Okay, so in during that time when Buhari was military head of state,
Yeah,
he launched war against indiscipline.
yeah.
Why? In 1984. And well, I said 1984. I would say that I could write my name correctly.
Yeah, okay.
And spell my name correctly. But then I heard and I read and I was informed that some of his strict, he was tough on crimes and he was very strict. He was a disciplinarian. He was a man of integrity. And if you went to work late, you were asked to do frog jumps. And if you cheated or you were involved in examination malpractice and you happen to be 17 years and above, you earn 21 years in prison. I mean,
Some of these stories are grossly exaggerated.
Oh, really?
Well, I know his regime was characterized by his focus on discipline and anti-corruption efforts and the economic reforms.
Okay.
But, well, you know, you just couldn't do things like this without having to perhaps get people to criticize you for the approach to it. He faced criticisms for human rights abuses.
Yes,
but some which were not directly linked to him, but linked to the policies that the government came up with, like Decree Number 2, which could take you to detention without any other privilege of trial. Then there was Decree Number 4, which was to gag the press. But the fact is that Nigerians were worried about the lifestyle that the politicians brought to them, you know, the ostentatious belief and lives. We even remember the case of a specialized drink. I think it was Akinloye who had the party, and the champagne there was customized in his name. And there was a press conference on that by his deputy, General Idiabo, on how these people were living. And to really make matters worse, Oyekawono had a documentary that BBC co-sponsored with NTA, was called The Squandering of the Riches. And it's depicted Nigerians as people who were living above their means. So when Buhari came in, he was worried about the extent of waste in public service. So that was even the bigger fight. And then taking it to the citizens, there was the war against indiscipline, which enabled him to say to us that the way we live was less than being human. You know, everybody was in a hurry. Everybody was simply in a rush to get things done. There was no cleanliness. All our streets were dirty. You just could just throw dirt anywhere. You just could just defecate. There was open everything was done haphazardly. So he wanted to bring this to order, and it resonated. Quite frankly, people appreciated. I think that helped him to become even the civilian head of state, president, many years later. You know, but the fight against corruption really was strong, and that was what led to people saying that there were human rights abuses, because politicians were jailed for cumulative 100 years. Seriously. So concurrently was what really applied, but cumulative jailing tenures and system, their pronouncements were running to hundreds of years for corrupt politicians.
Okay, so is there a difference between the Buhari that time, 83 to 85, as military head of state, and when he became democratically elected president, 2015 to 2023? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember that, okay, in 83 to 85, he was known for discipline, anti-corruption, and all that. And when he became president, I remember this common slogan, Masugudu Sugudu. Everybody was afraid that, oh, this very strict man has come. But somehow, I would say that somehow there was a decline, maybe, in his toughness for crime or toughness on crime.
Well, we know human nature. From all the criticisms that he had after being overthrown by General Babangida, one that stood out was that he was very rigid. He wasn't flexible, and that the stakeholders in the military then didn't see him as somebody that they could do business with, and they thought that the economy, which was faced with so much of crisis, needed liberalization, and Buhari was not shifting ground. So perhaps a whole lot of these things that were said over the years, all the commentaries, write-up, affected his position on issues when he came back as civilian president.
Okay.
That's my assumption. So he said, okay, fine, this is democratic. This is no longer military dictatorship. So let us see how we can work with the principles of democracy. You know, he is the sort of person, from having worked with him as a correspondent, who would give you responsibility and expect that, yeah, this is something that can be given a chance to succeed. Right?
Okay.
But I think the dynamism of our society and being Nigerians, you know, didn't allow that to thrive, because people had different reasons for different behavior. People he trusted betrayed this trust. They were very corrupt. And it's something that you would say, why didn't he cross-check, monitor, or follow up on assignments he has given to others? He didn't see it that way. And quite frankly, I don't think in a democratic governance that should be an everyday responsibility of the president. There are other institutions that would have been able to check all these things. They are weak. You know, a whole lot of them were just becoming subservient to powers that be. The big man, everybody was big here and there, and they dropped names. A whole lot of them were dropping Buhari's name here and there. Well, I'm working for Buhari. Buhari said you should do this. You go to CBN, drop Buhari's name. Go to everywhere, drop Buhari's name. And of course, you know, he said that whosoever has done that will either answer for his sins here or hereafter. That is the sort of person that he was. It's not one thing you cannot take away from him is his integrity from day one. Buhari was Federal Commissioner for Petroleum so many years, when we had so much money, and working with someone like Obasanjo, and he was not rich. People who were even in obscure positions were richer than him. So it tells you the kind of person that he was. He had integrity. He wasn't a corrupt person.
I think he was the only president who declared his assets publicly. Am I right?
Well, he did. I think some others may not have been public. Jonathan said he did, but didn't want to publicize it. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, but he was
He
very
declared his publicly.
publicly. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. But
So,
you know, somehow these things are political, so I don't want to use that to judge him. Actually, yeah.
so would I be right to say his personality didn't change, but his leadership style had to change?
Yeah, yeah. His personality never changed. He's some person. You know, if you recall, I read something way back when it was stated that after Murtala's assassination, the Supreme Military Council then met and two names were advanced to be Chief of Staff, Supreme Headquarters. That is Deputy to Obasanjo.
Okay.
His was one of those names advanced, himself and Shehu Yaradua. Why he was not picked was that the Chief of Army Staff then, General T.Y. Lenjuma, said this guy is not political. This guy is a military person. It will be difficult to negotiate with him because he wasn't going to be bending to the whims and caprices of anyone. So that was what disqualified him from becoming number 2 to OBJ. So to be sincere, I think his character was never in doubt as to the sort of person he was, the integrity he had, and till death. I think nobody, even after leaving office, even when they said there was corruption in his government, nobody said Buhari was corrupt. He wasn't corrupt.
It was the people that surrounded him, the people he was working with.
You cannot run away from that for Nigerians, because you know he said once that if you are with a Nigerian and you have agreed on anything, if there is a break or you leave the session to the toilet or to pray and come back, you need to recall what you have discussed and ask the guy if you are still on same standpoint. It tells you that Nigerians have reasons for whatever they have become. Quite frankly, that they cannot be selfless. You know, primitive acquisition of wealth has become the order of the day. But that was never associated with General Buhari.
Well, yeah. It's still Midday Vibe. We'll take a short break, and when we return, the discussion continues. Welcome back. It's still Midday Vibe, and we're still driving discussions around the life and achievements of late General Muhammadu Buhari, the former president of Nigeria. You can join the discussion. The numbers to call 090-6000-2022. Let's know what your thoughts are. We still have Mr. Ishaka Aliu here at our Caliphate Studios to drive further this discussion. He was the NTA correspondent who was sent to cover Jordan Barracks during the time that the late former president was military head of state in Nigeria. Sir,
yeah,
you have seen the involvement of different administrations, from military to civilian president, military president, head of state, and all of that. What will you say, in your view, is former President Buhari's biggest footprint?
Well, you know, for me, I've had this school of thought that success in governance, in leadership, is not about building roads or bridges. I've assumed, from the perspective of how some leaders have driven their citizens. Jeff Kennedy said, "Think not what America will do for you, but what you do for America."
Do for America.
Mandela was not acclaimed to have built anything in South Africa. He provided moral leadership, brought about peaceful transition, coexistence, the Rainbow Coalition, to tell the black people that you don't have to pay back whatever the wrongs rather the white people did to you. Let us work as one nation. Leadership. I think Buhari should be judged by the effort he made to educate the Nigerian that there is nowhere else than Nigeria that you can call your country. That standpoint, to me, is some level of astounding leadership that he provided, because it resonated up till today. People still quote that phrase that Nigerians have no other country than Nigeria to call their own. It doesn't matter whatever you say Buhari has done, whether he was weak or strong. For me, Buhari provided the strongest leadership in terms of moral rejuvenation for Nigerians than any other person you can say has led this country. What do you take them for? I can take Buhari for that. Even when people say Nigerians are corrupt, when you see him, you say, no, this one is different. And he's made it clear that that is the best path for this country. I think, for me, that stands out completely than telling me if he has built 20 airports, if he's done dual carriageway, if he didn't build Kaduna Road. I don't see that as the essence of human life. I think building strength in you as a person, like he did in most of those who experience his era, stands out for me.
There's a viral video of him apologizing to Nigerians and saying that he knows that he may have offended some people. Did he do that out of religion? You know, being
I think
practicing Islam, or did he actually feel that he had stepped on some toes?
I think it's a just natural phenomenon that people would say things like that. It doesn't really, I don't think it's a big deal, because we hear it always from different people. So when you change the course of history, when you move from one position to the other, you want to tell those you have crossed, you who you dealt with without fear or favor, that yeah, they maybe have, there would have been one reason for you to say I was either bad to you or unfair to you, or didn't give you the chance to be who you wanted to be. I say, okay, fine, I hope you forgive me for that. I don't think it's something that should be seen as outstanding. You know, for me, it's just some remark that should come and go pleasantly to the ears of Nigerians. Yeah.
Okay, it's still Midday Vibe 09060002022. Aha, I have a caller. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon. This is Midday Vibe. Thank you for tuning in. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello.
Hello. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Anemia Upon.
Aminu Ya'u from behind UBA. You have a question or a contribution?
Just a contribution, really.
Okay.
I heard what you are discussing with the prospect as well. From what you have said, it is the role model, it is the copy. Because now in Nigeria now, it's hardly you get to do one that because he has shown that the honest man, nobody believes in preaching, you not say Buhari is corrupt.
Yeah.
He tried an audience to guide himself from taking people's money. So that is one. So it's a role model to copy. And you see, this is a way of those leaders we have now. So that after the wealth of the country, if you copy from him, it's a person who has spent his life trying to develop the things that policy that will get Nigeria go.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we've met some people that are not willing to spend their lifestyle. That is what makes him want to succeed in the way he wanted to do. So, I'm calling our leaders to that they do not know that at the end of everything, when you lose people's money, there will be a time that you die. But at the end of judgment, that will stand before God and we answer all of what we have did. So I said, it's a way of confidence.
Thank you very much, Aminu Yau from behind you there.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, that is the kind of perception that one should be looking at. You know, because I mean, he said Buhari is a role model. He is undoubtedly. Yeah, you know, he didn't look at the Commonwealth of Nigeria as his. You know, a lot of people who have assumed leadership position did so much with Nigeria's Commonwealth. They even transfer it to their own clones. You know, Buhari was not patronizing. He wasn't into making you feel as if because he's there, you can have your way. His leadership style was exemplary, quite frankly. Yeah, and like he said, it's a role model that, you know, I think the idea to even exemplify someone like Buhari can help this country, quite frankly, because the thought of it alone is worth advancing, because it can lead to positive change in the way we pursue governance and democratic values.
So he was military head of state.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have another caller. Let's take this call. Hello. Hello, good afternoon. Please, what's your name and where are you calling from? Mr. P from Arkela. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you very much. Typically, from talking about the I thought, looking at 1984, I didn't change anything. All this assistance we are giving to him, I think a lot of it has been exaggerated. And most of the praises that are given to him actually doesn't deserve those praises. It was most of the things that were just ideas. But it took a lot of people gave it credit for. Now, to talk about his reign as democratic elected president from 2015 to 2023.
Yeah.
You see, some of the people Buhari is not corrupt. You know, it's very funny to me, you know. We have a sitting president, Buhari, as the chairman of the party, you know, said that anyone who comes from the party is to be forgiven. That statement is clear acknowledgement, you know, of corruption, acceptance of corruption for Buhari's government. You understand? Then comes to the issue of the commission, the action. Just days after Buhari was the president, he came up with a very sensitive statement that the other is, I'm quoting it now, there's no way going to treat all Nigerians equally. Those that gave him 97% of the vote, there's no way going to treat them equally to those who gave 5% of the vote. You know, that statement violates the Nigerian constitution. And he was trying to punish Nigerians who freely voted through their choice. And this the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria really gave to them. So that is that. Then you talk about you know, the kind of leadership style. You understand that right from 1984, the Nigerian economy was in a state of commerce. And when we came in 2015 down to 2023, our economy was not better. Everything was in total commerce. So, you know, it's a process that is very stubborn. It doesn't listen to advice. Like you said, it's not clear to you. I don't think it's not the issue of someone that we only feel that whatever he does is what's perfect. He doesn't take advice. He thinks that he knows everything instead of all. So, as far as I'm concerned, Nigeria has a very terrible country. Policy head of state, and also as a democratic president. And we don't wish to have somebody like this ever as president in Nigeria or in any part of Africa, even the world. Thank you. That's my contribution.
Well, I don't think that was complimentary. Let's look at the economy of the 84 and 85. He was not responsible.
Okay.
Yeah. So he met an economy that was not liberalized, because we had what we call the supply companies, from the national supply company to the state supply companies that monopolized distribution of essential commodities. This wasn't his creation. It was from the civilian era.
Okay.
And the import license regime that was introduced was not of equal opportunities to importers. So when he came and tried to bring about a review of this import license administration, it created delays and even further scarcity. But he was not given enough time to liberalize the economy, because those who were in a hurry in the military, like Babangida and co, didn't allow this whole policy of Buhari Diabo's administration
To take shape.
to take shape. So I can't say that he should be held responsible for the economic crisis of 84. That was what led to the coup in the first place. So he's not to blame for that. And he just couldn't have overnight said, no, whatever we were doing should change. Right? The fact that there was, queues for essential commodities, they were already created by people who were associated with the political leadership then, who were benefiting from this import license syndrome and were profiteering from having big warehouses all over the country and hoarding essential commodities. He insisted that that practice must stop. And they were breaking into so many of these warehouses across the nation, which were later said to be human rights abuses and the rest, to take off from the confiscated commodities that were housed in most of those houses, you know. Now, if you come to the era of his being president of this country, I'm not sure that Buhari was happy before his death about what Nigeria became after him. I watched an interview with Buhari on one of the major international news networks, where he defended his refusal to remove subsidy and his refusal to float the naira. He said the people will suffer. He said categorically that if he floats the naira, an economy that has no competitive production edge would not survive any so-called competition with international currencies. And that the only benefit the average Nigerian today can say it takes from government is subsidy. So I don't see how I will blame a person like that for a condition he met and was trying to see how best he could
Salvage the
situation, and had people working with him who were not incorruptible, can be blamed solely for this. Like for me, he stands out. He's much better than people we had after him or before him for this consideration for the ordinary person. His decision not to float the naira, his decision not to remove subsidy were in the interest of the average Nigerian. And that stands out. The government is for the people. It has nothing to do with whatsoever policy, no matter how utopian it is, and has no bearing on the goodwill of the people and the well-being of the citizens.
So he was president, military head of state, and then made several attempts, multiple attempts to become head of state.
President.
President, sorry.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, president.
Yes.
Why do you think he went through all that?
Yeah, well, I think the first time he addressed a gathering with the intention of running as a candidate. I was at Sheraton in Abuja. I was there on an event that he was invited, I think, by the then APP. Right? And what he said then was, having secondarily coming from the first time in governance to the second time with the success of PTF, which was acclaimed and which had very, very strong positive reviews in the media. He was encouraged by that performance to say perhaps if given the opportunity again, he could lead Nigeria and do better.
Okay.
It was not just from the vacuum of having led as military head of state. Let's not forget that Buhari was given the task of managing the gains of the shortfall from the little addition to oil prices in Nigeria by General Abacha. And PTF was created, and it did very well. We still have the products of PTF all over schools, roads, all over the nation. So I think the outcome and the review and the positive press that he got from that assignment enabled him to say to himself, why can't I give this a shot? Then he thought, well, if given the opportunity from this experience, he can lead and can do better with Nigeria. But between the time he got the presidency and when he had this assumption, age had caught up, and he was also fragile from illnesses. You know, so there was what we call the absence of vigor to pursue some of these things to logical conclusion.
So you think he achieved what he wanted to achieve after 2 tenures?
You can never achieve whatever. Who has ever done that? How can you achieve what you wanted to achieve? He's done his best. He said it. He said, well, he's tried to do his best and he's done his best. Whatever the Nigerians will always tell you that they lack satisfaction from whatever you have delivered, or
there will always be criticism.
There's always going to be.
We can't escape
we are never satisfied with whatever anybody has. No leader has ever been praised in this country. So I take Buhari's own as a common phenomenon. It's not a big deal that people are saying he didn't move mountains from the hardship that they faced. You know?
What should we learn from this man?
Yeah, well, I think, like I said to you,
especially our current leaders, what should we learn from him?
Integrity, goodwill, personal love for this country, patriotism, the love for this country. I think that stands out. You see, let me tell you one thing about why Obasanjo is so revered. It's not because he's an outstanding performer. It's his love for this country. Yeah, you know, the love for the unity of this country. Obasanjo stands out there. But the love for this country, Buhari too, is not someone you can doubt when it comes to that. Yeah. He wants Nigeria to be better. He wants Nigerians to. He is saying that he didn't serve Nigerians, diverse Nigerians, equally, because he complained about those who gave him this mandate and he aggregated them by their votes. Well, these are areas of conflict. Human nature. You can decide, fine, if you don't want me. It's presidential democracy. That is how it is. Even in America, that is how it is done. You don't come into, I can't give you all the juicy positions when you didn't vote for me. I give it to people who voted for me. That has nothing to do with ruling the country. No, it is the distribution of office as per who will work with me. It has nothing. He's taking a stand on that as if office means that we are sharing national cake or wealth. No. If we take it to that level, then you will blame Buhari for not giving it to those who didn't vote for him. It has nothing to do with the activities in governance. No. It's about who will work with him, which is different from service delivery.
What do you think it will look like in the political space going forward, now that he's passed APC and all of that? He was an elder statesman.
He was never really active politically, was he? He wasn't into godfatherism. No, he wasn't into, even after leaving office, he wasn't into shaping anything. Buhari is an equal opportunity person. He allows you to struggle and get what you can. When El-Rufai said he has consulted with Buhari before leaving APC, that is a name-dropping approach to politics. Buhari came out to say, yeah, but I still remain in APC. I never asked you anyone to leave APC. I am a beneficiary of the structure of APC. I remain an APC politician. But he wasn't in any way pulling strings as a retired politician. He just had a goodwill in his mind, whosoever wished to carry on his political career. He wasn't interested in who goes where and who does what. So I don't think he's going to really have a strong either negative or positive influence on the party.
On the party.
No.
Oh, Mr. Ishaka, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This is where we leave the conversation from Caliphate Studios here in Sokoto. We extend our condolence to the family of the late former President Muhammadu Buhari, and of course the people of Katsina State and Nigeria at large. Always remember, you have only one opportunity to do right when you're alive. Thank you. We'll do it again tomorrow.